when you get into a business that you're not only driven by money, you find now things start happening. WeCenter is an e-waste recycling company. So what we do is to collect obsolete ICT equipment. This is equipment that has either been overtaken by technology or has become obsolete. Why would we have all these batteries, all this mercury, all this lead in our rivers? The best approach when it comes to business is to look at a business that is solving a problem. I'm an entrepreneur turned e-waste management expert, which makes me an environmentalist. I'm also a lawyer, and I've been doing e-waste management for almost 10 years now. So I feel I would describe myself as more of an entrepreneur more than a lawyer. I'm always restless. I like looking at the newest opportunity, looking for new ventures. So restless, I think I'm aggressive, and I'm patient. Yeah? In some instances, of course, not everything makes me patient. WeCenter began in 2012. Before then, we didn't have any proper ways of disposing of electronic waste in Kenya. And you had, of course, everybody looking at ICT. One of our organizations that started WeCenter, which is CFSK, I used to work for them at that point. So we were distributing computers to schools, yeah, and did a lot of them. So we'd question ourselves, so what happens when these computers reach end of life? And that's how the idea for WeCenter was birthed. Then, of course, there was a lot of research put into it. Looking at Africa at that time, we didn't have any company that was doing e-waste management. We didn't even know that you're supposed to properly take care of your electronic waste. People had different ways of disposing their e-waste, and most of those ways were not proper. So after benchmarking with what other companies and other countries are doing in Europe, the WeCenter was formally registered in 2012 to provide e-waste management services. During the initial stage, luckily, we had people who believed that this could be done. So for me, I would not say it was a hard thing to crack, because this is a time when ICT was penetrating very well in Africa and also in Kenya. So, and we had partners that we were working with under the Computer for Schools program. So when we approached these partners and told them, okay, we feel we need to have a solution for e-waste recycling and management, it was very easy to convince them. So some of those partners include Safaricom, Kenya Airways, Unilever, and others, both foreign and local. So when they saw that this was a need and the idea was there, the next thing was to build a business model around it, which also took time. We had to engage also experts, because at that time I was also doing my legal studies. Yeah? So it was a mixture of being in school, at the same time trying to also understand how the business is supposed to run and come up with a sustainable business model. So WeCenter is an e-waste recycling company. So what we do is to collect obsolete equipment, ICT equipment. This is equipment that has either been overtaken by technology or has become obsolete. So your old mobile phones, computers, microwaves, anything that uses power or electricity. How we get them? We have corporate engagements. So we have companies that have contracts with WeCenter. So whenever they have obsolete ICT equipment, they will either write an email or do a phone call, say we have this and that, come and pick it up and manage it for us. We have placed e-waste disposal bins in various places in the country, including one of them is the Carrefour supermarkets. So when you go to the Carrefour supermarkets, you find the e-waste bins where you can place your e-waste. The others are also Safaricom, and we'll also soon have a partnership with Total Energies, where we'll also have e-waste disposal bins. The other one, we do estate drives. So we've done different estates within Nairobi. We started with Nairobi, but now we'll be moving to the major cities. So in our expansion plan, we'll be moving to Kisumu, we'll have e-waste collection center in Kisumu, and we'll also have more than 30 drop-off points in Kisumu, Nakuru, and Mombasa. So that's to enable anybody who has electronic waste, they can go and drop it either in the drop-off center or to the e-waste collection center. So our collection network is across the country. We've also engaged with other partners who can, maybe they're collecting plastic waste, or they're collecting a different form of waste. So when they come across electronic waste, they'll collect and bring to us to recycle. Everything that comes to us, when we see, and this is, I think it applies to anybody who is in waste management and also environmentalist, we view waste as a resource. Yeah. So when I look at an old mobile phone, for example, and not just people who are doing waste, even affordable housing, anything that is circular. Circular economy is about reducing wastage. Yeah. So when you reduce wastage, your mind is tilted in a way that you're seeing an opportunity and a resource in almost everything. So whenever we receive electronics, we try and see what other alternative use can we come up with from this item. So for example, I'll give an example of batteries. So once we receive batteries, and batteries will be embedded inside maybe your laptop or solar home systems. So we'll open up the battery carrying equipment, split open the cells, have individual cells, and then these cells will test them. We have equipment to test to know which of them have charge, which of them, we test over 100 different parameters, yeah? Charge, health of the cell, and then we determine out of the cells that we have, which ones can still be reused, and then we'll repurpose them and build our own cells, second life cells, which again can be used in a second life, you know. So that's an example. So everything that comes to us will either refurbish, find a second use for it. For example, laptops, we refurbish some of the laptops, and then they'll be donated to schools. Others are donated to other businesses that also need them. Yeah. If it is metal, which will also get components that of course have metal and plastics. Metal will be sold to the metal smelters. It will be smelted, make new metal. Plastic, it will be shredded. You'll have pellets. The pellets will be sold again to industries that require the plastic pellets to make new products. So we find a solution for everything. Whatever it is that we cannot manage locally in Kenya, because we also have other items that we cannot manage in Kenya, we look for partners overseas who can manage. So there are certain items will ship to Germany, there are others that will ship to Belgium, others to Finland, and any other country that has capacity to handle that component. So everything that comes, we find a way of recycling. Nothing will end up dumped in the environment. It is a capital-intensive business to start, that's for sure, because you have to set up a collection network, you have to have the right technology, you have to have people trained. Like some of our people have been trained in Europe, yeah, for them to understand how you're supposed to safely manage e-waste. You have to have machinery. We've acquired a lot of machinery, and we keep acquiring. So it's a business that you don't go into it because you want to. You say I've put in $10,000, and I want by end of the year to have $20,000. You know, and that's not the approach that we took. For us, I felt that it is more of the impact. So we are a social business. You're looking at the big picture. You're looking at what would happen if we did not exist. Why would we have all these batteries, all this mercury, all this lead in our rivers? So even for me, at the end of the month and at the end of the year, what makes me happy is how much tons of waste have we collected. And I keep, even my team, I keep asking how many tons have we collected this week? How many tons have we collected this year? Even before, how much money have we made? Yeah. Because you want to, you have that other drive that drives you. So when you get into a business that you're not only driven by money, you find now things start happening. the seed capital that we got, it was a mixture of grants we had, and you cannot get a grant if you're not doing a social business, you know, if you're not doing a business that will create impact. So we had companies that believed in WeCenter. They resonated very well with the work that we were doing. They were like, okay, we need you to grow the business. So they would give grants, and we still have a lot of them giving grants. We have new companies that join our partnership list. They say, okay, we feel this is a good green business. It ticks a lot of boxes. It is circular. So I feel the best approach when it comes to business is to look at a business that is solving a problem. If it doesn't solve a problem, especially an economic problem or a social problem or environmental problem, it becomes really hard to attract support. So since we started, we've done over 10,000 tons of e-waste that we've safely disposed. It's a very funny trend. Yeah? You can have 1 month where we collect 20 tons of e-waste in 1 month. You can even have that in 1 week or even in a day. Yeah? And then you can also have certain months where we can collect 30 tons for the whole month. So you find it fluctuates, because you can have, especially now that the biggest consumers of electronics are companies and also government. So when you have like one government agency disposing their e-waste, you find all our trucks on the road in a week, making sure that we collect whatever e-waste that they have. So for the time that we've operated, we've done over 10,000. In terms of our weekly annual, it fluctuates. Yeah, so sometimes we eat 300 tons, we eat 350, 400. Yeah, so it depends with the disposal. But what I can tell you is that those numbers are going up compared to when we started, because now people are more aware. Yeah, and even that's why we're even having this conversation. I never had such an interview in 2013 or in 2012, you know, because people didn't really understand matters to do with e-waste management and environment, climate change. You see, even last week the Devolution Conference theme was around climate change, which I was also a panel speaker. So I feel in terms of awareness, people are now becoming more aware, and it's a topic that has been given attention. Yeah, like I think this year I've been doing a lot of conferences. I'm almost being invited into conferences and forums every week. Yeah? Every week I must be somewhere speaking about e-waste. Before then, the early years when we were starting WeCenter, we would not have such kind of engagements. So that even shows why our volumes are constantly growing, because people are becoming more aware. Even like now, during this period, we were having the Devolution Conference. The theme of the Devolution Conference was on climate change. I was also invited as a panel speaker, which shows that even the government is paying attention to matters to do with climate change and environment. And you know, climate change and environment go hand in hand. Yeah? So I feel there's goodwill, there's that growth in terms of awareness also. Being in the sector, being pioneers in e-waste management, it's really motivating when you see people are having faith in your product, yeah, in your service. And you know what we are doing, we are not doing pure business. It's a social business, so it requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of goodwill. So being invited in such serious matters, and also assisting the Kenyan government and the county governments in coming up with laws and legislation and policies around e-waste management, I feel it's a motivation. So again, it's a motivation that also challenges me. Yeah, you feel that you've created really very high expectation, and that's why for me I have to make sure that the WeCenter is one of the best companies around. We have to constantly grow the business. One of the things that I'm very specific about is standards. We have the best standards. When you visit WeCenter, you don't need to visit a bigger facility in Europe. What you will see in Europe is what you see here. We are ISO certified. We went, when I said to my team, let's go for ISO certification, they were like, really? Is it not too early? I said, no, let's go for it. And then I said, it's not even one, we go for 2. So at WeCenter, we have a team of 45 that we employ permanently. And then we have another that gets up to 20 of semi-permanent skills depending on the work that we have. So mostly we range between 50 to 70. Yeah. Then we also have another team of around 630 technicians who are in different parts of the country. They collect e-waste also on our behalf. They can bring to us, and then they can also get some money depending on what they bring. So in the next few weeks, we'll also be building a bigger of that team. This week we've also hired, I think, 6 people. So when we hire, again, we have to train. So they will go through 2 weeks of training. So they will be trained on safety, issues to do with health, issues to do with e-waste management, because when it comes to the work that we do, issues of safety. Education has contributed in as much as I studied law and I'm doing e-waste management. One of my beliefs is that education makes you a better person. Yeah? It removes, for lack of a better terminology, it just removes the foolishness that you have in you. So with the education that I had, it really gave me a different perspective of looking at things, looking at life. And then the schools that I went to, I interacted with people from very many different backgrounds. So I feel education, even apart from the content that you learn in class, just being in that setup, it really prepares you for life. So the education that I had, I feel it has really tremendously made me to be a better person. It improves you on your communication skills, it improves on how you interact with people. Yeah. And then when the foolishness is out of you, the rest you can learn as you move. I finished my primary school in a school called Moi Educational Center. It's in Nairobi. Then I went to Mangu High School for 4 years. In Mangu, at first, I was exposed to aviation. And I think at that time, most of the Form 1 students would take aviation as a course. It was really exciting for all of us to study aeroplanes. Yeah? So at that time, I was really interested in aviation. Then moving forward, I had to keep my grades up, and aviation was a bit complex. Yeah? Because at that time, we were doing so many sciences. We were doing chemistry, physics, biology, and then we also doing mathematics. Then we also doing aviation, which was a combination of physics and mathematics. So I was like, this one. So I had to put it on the side. I thought when I finish high school, I would now go and pick up aviation from where I left. And then also I had interest in ICT. So when I was growing up, interestingly enough, I was really interested in computers. So I would really have a lot of interest on computers and opening them up just to see what is inside them. So at some point, I even learned how to repair them. So I would repair my own computer. I remember there's a time I even used to repair my neighbor's computer. Yeah. So, but I never knew that I would end up in e-waste management, which is still ICT, but on the other side of ICT, where you're interacting with the items when they're dead. Risks are many. We've taken a lot of risks. I think, if I remember, there are times when we didn't have money, you know, and then I go to Europe, I go to look for partners, and you take a risk. You go to the US, you don't really know if you'll get something out of it. Go to countries in Europe. I feel those were really risks that I took. And then the most interesting thing is that how people react to it. You'd go to Norway and then they say, hey, this person has traveled all the way from Kenya. And I remember there's a time I went to Colombia. Guys are even struggling to find your country on the map, you know. But they are like, if this guy traveled all the way from where he came from, there's something. And they can easily invest in you. After some time, you'll find an email. They're like, okay, could you send us more information about what we center is doing? Could you send us a pitch? And before you know it, somebody has already given a grant. So I feel one of the biggest risks that I took was not just looking at the business as pure business. Just look at it from a way of improving it, and also a way of networking, you know, looking at it from the impact. And then when you look at it from that angle, you find people will resonate easily. You've seen we have a lot of workshops that we put up and storage space. So when we're investing money in that, you had people saying, why can't you put that money into marketing, yeah, instead of construction? Then I'm here saying, no, but you also have to show that you have capacity. Because when you go there out marketing and people visit your facility and they see you're somewhere in a corner, they will also not have that trust. But when you invest in buildings, we've invested in buying trucks to collect e-waste without even knowing. So people would ask, with all these workshops, storage space, vehicles for collection, where will you get the e-waste from? No? But you can see even now where we are, we need even to build more storage space and more workshops. So those were risks that we took. If we didn't take them now, even now would be in crisis. During COVID, we were also working here because for us it was very hard to work from home because you have to physically be here, dismantle the e-waste. If we didn't invest early in terms of building, we would have a challenge when it comes to social distancing. So when COVID came, we still had a lot of space. So the investments that you risk, but when you look at the end goal, because even now we're already looking to build another facility, because in my mind I know in the next few years the amount of e-waste that we will be collecting in this center will not even be able to sustain operations here. So we're already looking for land, to buy land and build up another bigger facility that will also be on the level of the ones that we have in Europe. I think to become an expert not just in e-waste but in anything, it just requires passion, research, dedication. Because for me, I mean, I never went to school to study electronic waste recycling, but I know something to do with e-waste management, you know. So I feel it's about the inner drive, then continue just reading and seeing what is happening all over the world, and you'll become good at what you do. I keep learning every day, you know. I keep knowing, okay, so you can extract this component from this device. Now we have shortages of lithium. I know where to get lithium, you know. We have shortages of semiconductors. I know what materials we need for those. So it's about just trying to become a better person. Learning never stops. So for me, I learn every day. The items that we get here are different, yeah. So you have to constantly keep building on your knowledge. We are happy that we are all taking responsibility to take care of our environment. And as we go to the festive season, let's not forget our environment. It's very important. So as we celebrate Christmas, as we celebrate the holidays, make sure you're not throwing batteries in the village, you're not leaving your old electronics there. Always remember to be responsible. So I wish you a Merry Christmas in advance and a Happy New Year 2022. Thank you very much.